Members Horton, Allen, Benedict, Cap, Cortez, Harrell, Coupin, I see Gamble is here, Parker, Rutherford, and Vo. First is our public comment period, and we did have individuals sign up ahead of time. First, we have Mr. Elliot Perry speaking on BL 2025-1006 in opposition. Mr. Perry, are you here and wishing to speak? Thank you. Please go up to the mic and introduce yourself, please. Just give me one moment. Public table is on. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Elliot Perry. I live in District 21. I'm here. I've had the opportunity to speak with many of you directly about this issue already, but I'm here to publicly and respectfully oppose Ordinance BL 2025-1006 due to its proposed height restrictions and the unintended consequences they will have on housing choice and private property rights across Nashville. While the stated intent of this bill may be neighborhood compatibility, the practical effect is the creation of a narrower and more limited set of allowable home types, particularly in areas where small lots, infill development, and horizontal property regimes are currently the most viable path to new home ownership opportunities. Height limitations do not simply reduce building scale, they directly determine what kinds of homes can be built at all. When height is restricted and without regard to lot size, topography, and existing zoning context, it becomes impossible to deliver fee-simple homes on smaller infill lots, viable horizontal property regimes, family-sized units that meet modern building codes, and energy-efficient designs that require additional floor-to-floor height. The result is fewer feasible projects, fewer housing options, and higher per-unit costs, particularly for the entry-level missing middle homes that we know Nashville needs. Ironically, these restrictions favor either large-scale single-family homes or large multifamily developments while eliminating the moderate-scale housing types Nashville claims to support. Equally concerning is the loss of property rights for existing homeowners and landowners. Many current owners purchase their property with a reasonable expectation based on adopted zoning that they could redevelop, expand, or subdivide in the future. 1006 retroactively removes those rights by downzoning through form rather than use, stripping value and flexibility without compensation. The bill does not merely guide future development, it redefines what owners are allowed to do with property they already own, undermining longstanding zoning entitlements and creating uncertainty for families, small builders, and local investors alike. Nashville needs policies that expand housing choice, respect property rights, and allow contextual development, not one-size-fits-all height caps that reduce flexibility and drive up costs. For these reasons, I respectfully urge you to oppose BL 2025-1006 and instead support zoning tools that allow a broader range of home types while preserving neighborhood character through design, not arbitrary height limits. Thank you for your time, and again, thank you all for your service.
Thank you, sir. Next, signed up ahead of time, we had Mr. Rob Briley speaking on item 7, BL 2025-1118 in support. Mr. Briley, you are recognized. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the council. My name is Rob Briley. I live at 8537 Old Harding Lane in Nashville, and I'm here in support of this legislation. It's the Predators Sportsplex legislation. I've studied the bill. I've studied Councilman Taylor's proposed amendment to it, and I think generally speaking, as a citizen of Nashville, it is a move in the right direction, and I support it. But I'm really here as the father of a 9-year-old figure skater named Ruby, my daughter. There are 2 figure skating groups, 2 programs that are competing for ice time at the Centennial Sportsplex. And what we're asking for is not the same treatment as the other team, because they've been here longer than us, but for fair treatment. And what that means essentially is that we have time available for a Learn to Skate program in addition to the other programming that we do. We've been going to the Parks Board since the summer to petition them for access to that ice. We have a meeting scheduled with Director Odom tomorrow, hopefully to work out the final details of an agreement that lets us bring in our Learn to Skate program and our not-for-profit skating program. It's called City Skate Nashville. It's a not-for-profit corporation that we started back in July. Our Learn to Skate chair is an Olympic gold medalist named Scott Hamilton, and we're looking to restart his Learn to Skate program here at the Sportsplex to be a prominent feature for the city of Nashville and for everyone here. The ask that I have is that we get that opportunity. Again, we're meeting with Director Odom tomorrow, and I hope to come back with good news tomorrow night that we've reached an agreement that everybody can live with and that lets both teams, the Nashville Skating Academy and City Skate, live together, thrive together, compete together, which elevates the sport of figure skating for everybody in Nashville, and especially for my daughter, Ruby. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next for public comment, we have Mr. Brian Newman speaking on BL 2025-1006 in opposition. Mr. Newman, please go ahead. You're recognized.
Thank you for the time, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys tonight. My name is Brian Newman, and I've lived and worked inside the downtown loop for more than 15 years. I'm opposed to BL 2025-1006 as written, but in strong support of Councilmember Coupin's amendment that exempts the urban core neighborhoods. The proposed height restrictions in this bill apply to a one-size-fits-all rule to areas that have very different needs. The downtown loop is not a suburban block. It's a compact, mixed-use urban core where height and density are used as tools for walkability, transit viability, and affordable housing supply. The only path to affordable housing is supply, and the only path to increasing supply in the downtown core is height. We can't build short and wide. Imposing these blunt limits here will not preserve the character. It'll freeze progress, push development outward, and make housing less affordable. I'm very grateful for my councilman, Mr. Coupin, his willingness to meet with his constituents to hear our concerns and offer up his proposed amendment excluding the downtown neighborhoods from this bill. Please approve the bill as amended by Mr. Coupin so our neighborhood can continue to evolve in ways that support transit, small businesses, and the diverse urban life that we've worked hard to build. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next signed up for public comment is Mr. Bill, I can't read this, Falvin, speaking on agenda item 7. That's BL 2025-1118. Thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
You were close. It's Bill Falver.
Falver. Sorry
Yes.
about that.
I live in Lenox Village area, 7921 Kirkfield Drive. I'm here speaking to support the program, and I would like to say that, indeed, as Mr. Briley has alluded to, there are 2 skating programs. They have been in 2 separate facilities for several years, actually 6 years now. The basis for NSA has been in Nashville at Centennial Sportsplex for 10 years. It's been a very positive relationship, both for the community and for the skaters. NSA has great partnership with parks, Metro Parks, and the Predators. We do support this. We feel there is a big need to keep the building operationally safe. Parks also has allocated ice time based on the size of the program and in a way that causes the least disruption to the program in place. NSA has programs from disabilities, Learn to Skate, elite, non-elite. To cut out the Learn to Skate is actually the legs of the program. Every good skating program is based on Learn to Skate. So for another Learn to Skate program to be allowed to come in and offer the same services undercuts the entire program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We do have a little bit of extra time. Did anyone not sign up ahead of time that wishes to speak a public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'll declare the public comment period closed. Next, we'll move to our consent agenda. I currently have each item on consent apart from item 7, that is BL 2025-1118, item 8, BL 2025-1150, and item 13, BL 2025-1006. Before I read the captions, are there any other items that a committee member wishes to remove from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll proceed to read the captions, and if there's any else, we can take them off at the end. Item 1, RS 2025-1689, sponsors Coupin, Toombs, Horton, and Hill, a resolution to approve the 12th Amendment to the lease agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville, Davidson County, and Square Investment Holdings, LLC, for office space in the Washington Square building located at 222 2nd Avenue North. Item 2, RS 2025-1705, sponsors Coupin, Horton, and Evans Siegel, a resolution to amend ordinance number BL 2025-1013 to authorize the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to add the abandonment and acceptance of water and sanitary sewer main and easements and to update map and parcel information for now 2 properties located at 460 James Robertson Parkway and 300 Gay Street. Item 3, RS 2025-1706, sponsors Cap, Horton, and Evans Siegel, a resolution to amend ordinance number BL 2023-51 to authorize the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to replace the relocation of a fire hydrant assembly within the acceptance of a fire hydrant assembly for property located at 501 Sylvan Street, also known as 5th and Summer Revision 1. Item 4, RS 2025-1707, sponsors Evans, Horton, and Evans Siegel, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new public water main and fire hydrant assembly for property located at 1225 Sullivan Drive, also known as 4214 Central Pike Development. Item 5, RS 2025-1708, sponsors Gad, Horton, and Evans Siegel, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new public water main for property located at 22 Whitebridge Pike, also known as NES Whitebridge Substation. Item 6, RS 2025-1709, sponsors Hancock, Horton, and Evans Siegel, a resolution to amend ordinance BL 2023-1796 to authorize the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to add acquisition of a portion of property and to amend portions of a property previously approved to be acquired by negotiation, combination, or fee simple take for now 3 properties located at 1213, 1217, and 1221 Northgate Business Parkway. Item number 9, BL 2025-1157, sponsors Gad, Toombs, Horton, Evans Siegel, Vo, Hill, Welsh, Allen, and Ewing. An ordinance amending Greenway conservation easement agreements between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation and Ingram Industries, Inc. for Greenway improvements at 4400 Harding Pike. Item 10, BL 2025-1158, sponsors Horton, Druffel, Evans Siegel, Vo, Gad, Welsh, Hill, Allen, and Ewing, an ordinance approving a Greenway conservation easement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County through the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation in BMTN Owner LLC for Greenway improvements at 4500 Harding Pike. Item 11, BL 2025-1159, sponsors Evans Siegel, Horton, and Gad, an ordinance adopting the Geographic Information Systems Street and Alley Centerline layer with the recordation of renaming, additions, and deletions of acceptances and abandonments as reflected in the centerline layer to date as the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance record for the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Item 12, BL 2025-1160, sponsors Harrell, Horton, and Evans Siegel, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new public water and sanitary sewer force mains and fire hydrant assemblies and easements for 2 properties located at 4144 Maxwell Road and 4316 Laverne Couchville Pike, also known as Martins Grove. Item 14, BL 2025-1089, sponsor Stiles, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by amending an SP for property located at 3839 Murfreesboro Pike, approximately 277 feet north of Old Hickory Boulevard and located within the Murfreesboro Pike Urban Design Overlay District to permit a mixed-use development. Item 15, BL 2025-1090, sponsor Stiles, an ordinance to authorize building material restrictions and requirements for BL 2025-1089. Item 16, BL 2025-1098, sponsors Harrell, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from RS10 to SP zoning for property located at 4326 Maxwell Road, approximately 150 feet south of Trailwater Drive, to permit 36 multifamily residential units, all of which is described herein. Item 17, BL 2025-1099, sponsors Harrell, an ordinance to authorize building material restrictions and requirements for BL 2025-1098. Item 18, BL 2025-1130, sponsors Taylor, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from RS5 to R6A zoning for property located at 1704 Arthur Avenue, approximately 100 feet northwest of Jane Street, within the detached accessory dwelling unit overlay district. Item 19, BL 2025-1131, sponsors Huffman, Evans, and Eastlick, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by applying a corridor design overlay district to various properties located west of Old Lebanon Dirt Road and along Old Hickory Boulevard and Central Pike. Item 20, BL 2025-1134, sponsors Welsh, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing from RS 7.5 to R6A zoning for property located at 510 High Street, located approximately 275 feet east of West Mead, or of East, 275 feet east of Mead Avenue. And finally, item 21, BL 2025-1135, sponsors Taylor, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, the zoning ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, by changing from RS5 to R6A zoning for property located at 1641 11th Avenue North, located on the corner of 11th Avenue North and Wheelis Street within the attached accessory dwelling unit overlay district. That is each item on consent. Are there any other items which need to be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, do we have a motion? Do we have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Any not voting? The consent agenda is approved. 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. First item not on the consent agenda is item 7, BL 2025-1118, sponsors Taylor, Toombs, Horton, Vo, and Hill, an ordinance approving a license and lease agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and Powers Management LLC for use of space located at 222 25th Avenue North, Nashville, Tennessee, 37203. Do we have a motion by a committee member? Second, moved and seconded. For discussion, I will go first to the sponsor who is joining us here today for a description of the bill. Mr. Taylor, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I quickly just want to explain the bill. I mean, it's very simple. The Nashville Predators Powers Management Group, LLC, has entered into a negotiation with the city of Nashville to run and operate the ice skating rinks at the Centennial Sportsplex. And so it's before us tonight. I think there's going to be some discussion on the floor, but also I'll have an amendment that I would love to add to this, if so be by a committee member.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Taylor, do you have a description of the amendment, please?
I do. So the amendment, for the most part, spells out in the recital, for the most part, preserving the usage and the users of the Centennial Sportsplex as the legacy users. It names several legacy users, as well as not necessarily limited to those users. And what we're doing here, for the most part, we want to keep the same rates. The rates will stay the same until July 2027 for those legacy users. The rates will never increase by more than 3% year over year. And we also want to have the same or similar continued access to the ice for all those users. There's also an exhibit in our packet for this same information that will be attached to the contract. And it does, again, the same thing, and it, for the most part, codifies that the dollar amount will stay the same till July 2027, as well as the ice will still have the same utilization. It also will highlight third-party contracts that each one of the legacy users are working toward or have worked toward, a letter of commitment or a letter of intent with the Nashville Predators to honor the things that we have here written into the legislation, as well as anything that they've honored that we can't necessarily legislate over that's pertaining specifically to the organization and the Nashville Predators.
Thank you for that description of the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? I saw Allen and Suara. I'll go first to Councilmember Allen. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have heard from a number of folks connected to the legacy group, so just want to clarify, after 2027, the fees that they are being charged now would only go up by 3%, which sounds like a good guarantee. Could the sponsor just repeat one more time what happens in terms of the access guarantee? And since this is in the recital and not actually in the bill, what kind of guarantees do we have?
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. And for this, yes, 3%, no more than 3% year over year. That will be in the exhibit as well. And then the second piece to your answer is I'll ask Special Counsel Darby to kind of tie into that.
I think your second question was that this language was not in the legislation. So the amendment does amend the license and lease agreement to include Exhibit B, and Exhibit B contains those terms in it for the legacy group use, the lock-in rate till 2027, and then the 3% potential escalator after that.
And the access after 2027?
Right, and the access after 2027, council member, is, one is the legacy groups will still have the same access. That will be also added into Exhibit D, as well as public access and community use. We haven't talked much about that because we've heard mostly from our legacy users, but also we wanted to still allow you to take your date to go skate at the ice rink. We still want you to just go skate and have fun with your family. And so those are some of the opportunities that we saw that we possibly missed in negotiating the contract at the beginning. And these are some of the things that were brought to our attention as we dug into this a little deeper.
Thank you for that explanation. Any further questions, Councilmember Allen?
No, I appreciate the work the sponsor has done to clarify all these things.
Thank you. I see you, Councilmember Ellis. First, I'll go to Councilmember Zwar, who had her hand up first. Councilmember Zwar, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me, even though I'm not on the committee. I appreciate that. And I do want to acknowledge the sponsor for all the work that is done on this. And so what I was going to talk about, I think he referenced, because that was the part that for the last 2 years has been bothersome for me and some of us that have received stuff about different part of parks and the permits that we issue, that sometimes permit holders think they own the parks. And it sometimes creates a sense of ownership or entitlement that may not be there. And so how do we make sure that even people that are not part of organized league, whether it's hockey league or skating league, how do we make sure that the regular folks continue to have access to the park at any time? And so that was also included, so it wasn't just the legacy users, but the community access is embedded in that amendment as well. So I wanted to leave that up as well, and so thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Ellis, I had you next in the queue. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. So I wanted to ask the sponsor and maybe someone here from the Preds. So after the 3 years, is there, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, like in my second term, I don't want to come back here and hear that this, public ice rink that we're now turning over to a private owner are raising the fees 10, 12, 10, 20 times after the agreements that they, currently have in place and some that they're working on. Making sure that that's not going to happen, or that's not the intention of the new owners.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilmember Taylor.
Thank you, Councilmember. So my understanding of the question is that will they every year increase the rate by 3% year over year as we can go?
Yeah, over that 3%.
Right. So the year over year is for the entirety of the agreement. So they can't go 3% year over year for the entirety of the agreement. However, they can go 3% every year. However, from my understanding and the intent of the Predators is that that's not necessarily their intent. Their intent isn't necessarily, from my understanding, is to make money on this, but continue to provide an opportunity for the community to use this space and build a better relationship with the Nashville community as ice hockey has increased. One thing I truly noticed about this bill and the activity around this bill is that hockey is very alive today in Nashville. And I think that this will be a great opportunity to increase that, access to hockey and to give us some great updates in the facility. We really haven't talked about that much. This comes with several $1 million worth of updates in the facility. This comes with some deferred maintenance that we have already as a city at the Centennial Sportsplex with the ice. Also, some of the things that we'll do is some of the other common areas, we'll see some upgrades, not just necessarily the ice rinks in that sport. And so if you're familiar with Centennial Sportsplex, when you walk in, you go left to the ice. If you walk in and go right, you go to the swimming pool. Some of the HVAC systems, some of the other pieces will tie into the entire building. That I think is also a win for the city of Nashville.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any further discussion on the amendment? Oh, I see we're joined by, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, Michelle Kennedy, President and Chief Operating Officer for Nashville Predators and affiliate companies. I just wanted to answer directly. Councilmember Taylor is correct. It is certainly not our intention to gouge anyone with pricing after the initial term of the agreement. What I'd ask the council to consider is that we have no incentive to anger people, to not do what we've been saying that we're going to do. As Councilmember Taylor said, this is just about a further immersion into the hockey community for us. We respect what's gone on at Centennial. We want what has gone on at Centennial to continue to go on at Centennial, and we will be responsible stewards of that for sure.
Thank you for that additional explanation. Any further discussion on this amendment? Seeing none, I guess we'll go to a vote. We already have movement and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? Amendment is recommended for approval. 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Councilmember Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one clarification about naming rights. I understand that this gives the Predators the option to receive revenue from naming rights, and that's fine. I just would like to know where those naming rights are going. I'm hoping they're staying inside the building. Could we get some information on that?
Thank you. I guess I'll go first to Councilmember Taylor, and if you'd like to ask somebody from the Predators, we can go there as well.
Absolutely. It's my understanding that the naming rights will stay inside the building, but I'll let the Preds answer that as well.
Michelle Kennedy again. We don't have any intention of changing the name of Centennial Sportsplex. We will probably over time sell some sponsorships internally, but we haven't gotten deep into this yet at all. Once the council approves, fingers crossed, we begin an inspection period where we learn a whole lot more about the operation, but it will not be our intention to change the moniker of that building from Centennial Sportsplex.
Perfect. And one thing to add, we've had some clarity in this conversation, is that the Centennial Sportsplex is a sportsplex. It's a part of the city of Nashville. It's been there longer than many of us, or many Nashvillians have been in Nashville now. And so we've had this conversation to not change that. It's not a Ford ice rink. We have those in Antioch. We have those in Bellevue. It's still the Centennial Sportsplex.
Thank you. Councilmember Benedict, I see you. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. To that point, I just wanted to add, when we look at deals like this, I think it's important for us to get these types of improvements, and I'm supportive of the deal. But I also want to remember that it's not just the Centennial Sportsplex, it's the People's House. And so it is a public resource, and it's a great partnership here, but this is the People's House, and we want to make sure that our partner is taking that approach, and that's what I've seen from them. So just wanted to make that addition to the conversation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any further discussion on the bill as amended? We do need a motion for approval on the bill as amended. We have a moved and seconded. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Any opposed? Any not voting? Bill is recommended for approval as amended, 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Next item not on consent is BL 2025-1150, sponsors Coupin, Toombs, Horton, Johnston, Hill, Huffman, and Stiles, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government's execution and delivery of a development agreement and ground lease agreement with the Tennessee Performing Arts Center Management Corporation, a campus operations and use agreement, and other documents and agreements relating to the development of a performing arts facility on a portion of the East Bank Stadium campus. Do we have a motion and a second? Moved in a second. I will go first to the chief sponsor, Councilmember Coupin. You are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Excited for this piece of legislation establishing the lease for the Tennessee Performing Arts Center on the East Bank. We had a meeting on the 4th, a Section 230 meeting, and then we also had a East Bank ad hoc committee meeting on the 11th. For folks who want more information, I encourage them to check out those recordings. So just very excited for this. Appreciate everybody that's worked hard on it. One of the big considerations that has come up is the pedestrian bridge access. That was something that was contemplated in the original MOU. And so I've got an amendment that more clearly just reasserts that commitment from Metro to keep that bridge open during construction. Wasiota Park is adjacent to the construction site, so it also codifies the desire to keep that open. And lastly, a housekeeping matter, it changes from December 3rd to December 4th to clarify the correct date for the community meeting. So with that, I would love to move that amendment.
Thank you. Second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any not voting? Amendment is recommended for approval, 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Do we have a motion on the bill as amended? Moved and seconded. I'll go next to Councilmember Parker. Councilmember Parker, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move Amendment 2 for consideration.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the amendment?
I'll give a brief explanation if I may. So one of the important things that Metro is required to provide in the agreement is alleyway access. What's being constructed here is a new performance venue, and performances often now come with one or several trucks full of lighting and set pieces and things like that. So it's really critical that we do provide that alleyway access for this facility to work. In the agreement as filed, that alleyway access is achieved. It's very specific and very prescriptive, the language about where and how that alleyway access occurs. And I've had a lot of conversations since our East Bank committee meeting with different folks involved in this. And my expectation is that that's what we're going to do, is what's prescribed. But what this amendment does is it gives us just a little bit of flexibility should circumstances arise that need us to make adjustments to that alleyway access. So still have to provide the alleyway access. Everybody still expects it to be as prescribed in the original language, but this amendment would allow some flexibility should it be deemed necessary.
Thank you for that explanation. Any discussion on Amendment 2? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? Recommend approval, 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Do we have a motion on the bill as amended with Amendment 2?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the bill as amended by Amendment 1 and Amendment 2? Councilmember Allen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a question come up in the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and I think we have the answer to it now. So just to get that on the record, I had asked a question about the sports betting, that this bill specifically says that would only happen if the Titans approved it. And my question was, didn't we have an earlier agreement that said that the Metro Council also had a say in that? And if Mr. Rosenberg could just reiterate the answer he gave me earlier, I'd like to get that on the record.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenberg. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Council member, the Master Development Agreement for the East Bank prohibits sports betting and casinos, except on your personal device, within the entire area, including the TPAC property.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any further discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? Recommend approval as amended, 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Our final item not on consent is item 13, BL 2025-1006, sponsors Gamble, Parker, and Benedict, an ordinance amending chapter 17.04, 17.12, and 17.16 of the Metropolitan Code to amend the regulations pertaining to height within the single-family residential RS and 1 and 2-family residential R zoning districts, and to simplify the conditions by which 2-family dwellings may be permitted in the AG, AR2A, R80, R40, R30, R20, R15, R10, R8, R8A, R6, and R6A zoning districts. Do we have a motion for approval? Moved and seconded. We do have a number of amendments on this bill. Some of them address the same topic, so I'll go slightly out of order to try to facilitate a conversation that makes sense. But first, I will go to Amendment 1. We're joined by the sponsor, Committee Member Gamble. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Just to recap, everyone, this Bill 1006 is one of the 4 housing bills that we've been discussing for the past 6 months to address the housing crisis. The Amendment 1 that I would like to move.
Moved and seconded.
Thank you. Is a somewhat of a housekeeping amendment. It clarifies the terms footprint and half story is clarified, and then it also gives more clarification on the dormer size on homes, on buildings within the R and RS zoning. And with that, I'd like to move for approval of Amendment 1.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on Amendment 1? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any not voting? Recommend approval of Amendment 1, 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Next, I'll go slightly out of order to go to Amendment 4. Do we have a motion? Moved and seconded. Councilmember Druffel, would you like to give a brief explanation of the amendment, please?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. This is very similar to 1005 and 107, just asking that we come back to this in early 2027 to get a sense of success and what we might need to do in the future, looking at metrics and different infrastructure costs. And I'd like to move the amendment.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on Amendment 4? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Is that a no? Any not voting? Recommend approval, 10 in favor, 1 against, 0 not voting. Next, we will go to Amendment 2 by Councilmember Coupin. All right, we need a motion to the bill as amended. Moved and seconded. Councilmember Coupin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. So this would delay the implementation of this bill till May 31st, 2026. I'm not married to that date. My goal was to get something far enough out that would allow for some time for the kind of community to understand and respond to this. This would be a bill that reduces height. And so if somebody in this, in the affected area is currently building a house, has house plans for a 36-foot structure, for example, and then in January goes to pull their permit after a year's worth of work, and they may be surprised to learn that we passed this bill with immediate effect. So this would just delay it out further, the implementation of it.
Thank you for that explanation. Would you like to make a motion on the amendment?
I'd like to move it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this amendment? Councilmember Parker, I'll go to you first.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I'm not completely opposed to the notion of extending the effective date. This bill does more than restrict height in single family. I have a lot of non-conforming 2-family zoned properties in District 5 that we've had to do SPs for. And it's my understanding that other provisions in this bill would reduce our need to do things like file SPs for single lots. So, if we were to look at bumping out the height provision, can we just have that affect the height thing and get the 2-family fix in there? Because like right now it's folks have a lot and it's zoned R6A and they expect to be able to utilize it in a certain way, and because of minutia, we have to file an SP for them to accomplish that. It's very frustrating. So I would prefer that be fixed sooner than May.
Thank you for that comment. Did I see Councilmember Benedict? You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Councilmember Parker said some of what I was going to say, but I also just think, when we put these dates out there for implementation of housing reform that we've needed, we're really late to the party as far as making housing reform, in my opinion. And I think the sooner we implement these things, the better. I understand the sponsors' concerns here, but I think that, I think if there's, I think we need to do this sooner. Should it, we're on third reading. If somebody wants to bring a late amendment tomorrow that says, January 31st or February 28th or whatever it might be, I just think, almost midway through the year, 6 months from right now is a little far off. So I think, I'm not going to be able to support this amendment.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any further discussion on this amendment? I have one question myself, which I'll direct to planning. If we pass this with the effective date as of taking effect immediately, my thought is that if somebody's pulled permits or started work on a property with the current height limits, that they would be grandfathered into the prior height limits. Is that correct?
Hi, thank you. Yes, any permits, excuse me, any permits currently issued would have been issued under the existing regulations, and so those would be applicable. It would not change the regulations mid-course of a permit that's been issued.
Thank you. I see Councilmember Cooper has his hands up. Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to my colleagues. And I agree with especially the implementation of the non-conforming use. So I may take a stab at a late filed amendment that maybe pulls that date a little bit earlier and then only focuses on the kind of the height changes. My concern is not so much someone that has already actively pulled a permit, but before someone goes and pulls a building permit, they're engaging a builder and drawing plans and things like that. So there's kind of months of lead time. So I know some of my constituents know about this. I know many that I've spoken to have not heard about these bills. And so just in the interest of transparency, would like some time to get that word out, but would be open to trying something to change it a little bit.
Thank you, Councilmember. I would agree with that approach. For my own vote, seems to accomplish the purpose of allowing the building industry to grapple with the reduced height, but without having the unintended side effects of affecting the other aspects of this bill as well. So hopefully look forward to that late filed amendment. Any further discussion on this amendment? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Can you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 in favor, 6 opposed. Any council members not voting? We have some not voting. Okay. We do not recommend approval of the bill with 5 in favor, 6 against, and 0 not voting. Sorry. Correction, that is 4 in favor, 7 against, 0 not voting. Thank you, Councilmember Harrell. Councilmember Rutherford.
I don't believe you asked for a show of hands on the ayes. I was an aye, so just making sure that I'm
Okay,
part of the count.
let's do it all again. Everyone in favor, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. All against, please raise your hand. And then any not voting, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you, Councilmember Rutherford. The correct total is 3 in favor, 8 against, 0 not voting. Do we have a motion on the bill as amended by amendments 1 and 4 with the negative recommendation for amendment 3? Moved and seconded. Next, we will go to, sorry, that was amendment 2. Next, we'll go to amendment 3. also by Councilmember Coupin. Councilmember Coupin, can I go to you for a motion on your amendment and a brief explanation?
Thank you, Chair. So this amendment we've heard about, you've heard members of my constituents coming out to talk about this. The Planning Commission very kindly allowed for space for this to be put on the bill. But what this would do is would take the height restriction out from the interstate loop. So 6540, that there's the inner core where height is most appropriate. I'm working with these neighborhoods on potentially an expansion of the downtown code and other zoning reforms within that core. So to reduce that height, to me would be, first of all, problematic to the efforts that we're undergoing, but also wouldn't be appropriate in that downtown area. And additionally, there's some just clarification on even ridge heights. So I just wanted to note that because I know Councilwoman Allen has an amendment that picked up my amendment, but I think picked it up before we added that clarification. So I just wanted to flag that. But yeah, so this would just exempt the urban core.
Thank you for that explanation. Councilmember, any discussion on Amendment 3? Councilmember Allen, I know your Amendment 6 bears substantial similarities to this. At risk of kind of convoluting the conversation to determine which one of these two potentially the committee might be in favor of, would you like perhaps spell out how your amendment differs from this one?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. The intent was to pick up Councilmember Coupin's identically, with the only change being moving that 35 feet to 38 feet, because I've heard from enough architects who are working to build affordably priced housing that they're okay with lowering the height to some degree, but they have concerns that the Tudor architecture won't be possible and all we'll get is the same kind of house with a hip roof, similar to the comment that we heard at the beginning, and that those having the flexibility of that 3 feet from 35 to 38 would prohibit the tall skinnies that we're all trying to not have any more of, but just give them the flexibility to actually build a variety of houses to increase our housing supply. So the intent is not to change anything else, and if it doesn't do that, then I would need to late file to make it match up, depending on what happens with Councilmember Coupin's bill.
Thank you for that explanation. I'll go to Councilmember Coupin.
I appreciate that. And I'd be supportive of Councilman Allen's bill as well that picks mine up, but then also raises that height. I have heard similar kinds of concerns, and perhaps we could late file, one of us could late file, perhaps if it's your, that goes forward with that last little eve requirement in there. Thank you.
I had one, I guess, issue to raise for consideration on I guess we're jumping back and forth between Amendment 3 and Amendment 6. On Amendment 6, agree with the idea of raising the height to 38 feet. The second provision of that is that I think if 50% of the structures on that block facing the same street are above 38 feet, then the new maximum height is 3 stories within 45 feet, which is, again, mirrors the provision in Amendment 3. My question is this might have an unintended effect if that there's less buildings that will be 38 feet than 35 feet. So it might have the unintended effect of resulting in less tall structures, like less structures would qualify for that additional bonus, however you want to call it, height of 3 stories up to 45 feet. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but just wanted to flag that as a potential effect for it. If you have any comments on that, Councilmember Allen.
I got to think about that. Okay. I have no data on the difference of number of houses that are 35 feet as opposed to 38 feet tall. So the intent was simply to not undo what Councilmember Coupin did. If he got his passed, I have another one, assuming his didn't pass, that would simply make those same changes, 35 to 38. So it was just trying to be consistent.
Thank you. I imagine there's not a large universe of homes in that threshold, but I guess we'll go back to Councilmember Coupin on whether you'd like to renew the motion for this amendment or potentially withdraw it in favor of Councilmember Allen's.
Could we vote on Councilmember Allen's first, and assuming that, can I withdraw my motion and have her move hers, and if that passes, then I could not move mine?
Okay, I think you can just cancel your motion.
Yeah, I withdraw my motion.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilmember Benedict.
As a committee, we can make a recommendation on all of these, right? And it's not binding for what we do on the floor tomorrow? Is that?
That's correct.
Okay.
And we can consider multiple inconsistent amendments.
Okay, thank you.
But if we have a settlement on one common course of action, we can also do that.
So
Councilmember Cupin.
is there a way to make a motion to consider a recommendation to use Councilwoman Allen's amendment, but also then include the eve requirements? That too complicated?
We can include our commentary leading to our approval in council tomorrow. So I guess we have a cancel that motion. Next, I guess I will go to Councilmember Allen for a motion on Amendment 6, which we've already heard a brief explanation of.
Thank you. I would like to move Amendment 6.
Moved and seconded. Do we have any any discussion on Amendment 6?
I mean, I'll just say I'm still flipping back and forth to try to figure out what I missed on the eve. Again, that was not my intention. If there's something that Councilmember Cupin has worked with planning on, I would work to put that back in because that seemed like a good thing.
Okay. Councilmember Gamble, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I was very supportive of Councilmember Cupin's amendment, and so I'm disappointed that we aren't going to be considering that tonight. I do have concerns about Councilmember Allen's Amendment 6 that raises the height to 38 feet as well, especially under the idea that it would encourage more affordable housing. I think we've seen that the opposite has happened when we get into the higher heights with rooftop views and everything, which is wonderful and great in the downtown loop. But as far as making it more affordable, I'm not sure how that happens. So if someone can expand on that, that'll be great. But I guess like I said, I'm disappointed that we aren't moving forward with Councilmember Cupin's amendment, which has really been vetted and has been talked about for the past at least 3 months, where we've been having this discussion about how to address unintended consequences. And now at this late hour, we come with this other amendment that we don't have any data for to really show that it's more effective. So I'm going to have to vote against Amendment 6 and wish we could go back to Amendment 3.
Thank you. I'll go back to Alan for explanation to your questions. Also would note that you can also move Councilmember Cupin's amendment as well if we'd like to go back to that one.
Thank you. So just to spell out some of the things that I've heard from architects. Number one, they said there are many historic homes which are similar to that could not be built under today's zoning if we do this, that fit into the missing middle that we're talking about. And that it would very much limit the architectural type simply because of different roof slopes. And it would also decrease flexibility if you hit rock in Nashville, which you do many of the times when you're building. So that when they think they're going to be able to put in the required amount of crawl space, and then they hit solid limestone rock and we'll have to jackhammer, that being able to go up another foot or two doesn't make the house any bigger. It simply gives them more flexibility in building. So the intent is not to allow bigger houses necessarily. It's simply to allow a greater variety of architectural types of the same square footage, and then some flexibility on adjusting if there need to be issues with the foundation. So the intention is not to create bigger houses. It's simply to allow more options there for the same square footage.
Thank you for that explanation. Any further discussion on Amendment 6? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. All in favor? Please raise your hands if you're in favor. Okay, I see 2 in favor, including myself. All opposed? Please keep your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4. See 2 in favor, 6 against. Any not voting? See 1. Do you have 2? Councilmember Harrell, are you looking to vote on not voting? Okay. We do not recommend approval of Amendment 6 with 2 in favor, 6 against, and 2 not voting. Do we have another motion on the bill as amended without this amendment recommended for approval? Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the bill as amended? Councilmember Benedict, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move Amendment 3.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on Amendment 3? Seeing none, we will go to the vote. All in favor? Please raise your hands. 1, 2. And all opposed? Any not voting? Recommend approval, 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Got you. Wait. Oh, yeah, okay. Movement on the bill as amended. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I just wanted to address on the height question. Some of the discussion has really been framed around aesthetics. But I just want to remind folks, and I don't know that we've had the fire marshal weigh in on this, but there is a life safety component to, the building code standards for 1 and 2 family buildings are different from multifamily. There's no active fire suppression in them, and there's a sort of complex interplay between structure height, setback, and how our firefighters are able to rig the trucks and the ladders and everything they need to do their job. So I think aesthetic is a part of it, but I just want to remind folks that there is a life safety component to these height limits as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Parker, any further discussion on the bill? Councilmember Welsh, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me, even though I'm not on the committee. And I just want to make sure we are on the final passage of the bill, correct, as amended with the whole litany?
That's correct.
Okay. I am actually vehemently opposed to this bill and these height restrictions because I think that they are going to have unintended consequences, as I posted today on Council Connect. I think it is going to make the building of affordable housing more expensive, and we're going to see less of the affordable housing that we need and the missing middle housing that we need. It's going to drive costs up just because of the math right now with how you can get funding and get what we need. And in many ways, I kind of see it as a down zone. In terms of these, I just don't think that they're necessary. But an even larger concern is that I think that this is going to open us up to a lot of legal liability, and that as a city, we are going to get sued over property rights and things. I don't understand the reason for these height restrictions as they are. And so I just want to be on record as saying I personally, I wish this bill could be deferred so that we could address some of these issues that have been brought up and some of the, like, for example, some of the issues my colleague C.M. Allen brought up so that we could get clarity on some of those things, just because I think it's going to be important and I think we can have a better bill. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. We'll go to Councilmember Gamble, then Allen, then Benedict. We'll go first. Councilmember Gamble, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, and I do appreciate the concerns that have been raised by our public speakers at the start of the meeting, as well as our council members. I just want to remind everyone that this recommendation, which came out of the Housing and Infrastructure Study, was in response to a lot of concerns that we had heard across the county from residents concerned about 3-story dwellings in being out of character in a lot of neighborhoods in Nashville. Now, of course, in the downtown loop, in the downtown core, they meet the character, they would be in character, but outside of that, we have heard many concerns from residents about 3-story units and rooftops where people are able to look in other neighbors' backyards and things like that. And then in a lot of areas outside of the downtown loop, we have more space where you can go wide and don't necessarily need to go high in order to build more units or more affordable housing. And so for those reasons, like I said, we've been discussing this for 3 months, came up with amendments to address those concerns that we've heard, they've been placed on the bill. And I think at this point, we are ready to move forward. And again, this only applies to R and RS zoning, so single family and 2-family zoning. This does not apply, and it only applies to everything lower than RS 40, R40, R40, RS 40, R80, RS 80. This does not apply to that. So there are many opportunities for people who are still wanting to build beyond the 2.5-story to do so. It doesn't restrict everyone's rights. So with that, I'll just ask for approval. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Vo, I saw you, but first we'll go to Councilmembers Allen and then Benedict and then Vo.
Thank you. I appreciate the concern. I will say at one point, we simply allowed a maximum of 3 stories and we didn't specify the height, and we got some really, really, really tall houses with mezzanines. And when we reduced it to a specific 45 feet, I don't believe there was any legal repercussions. So I don't know that concern has a precedent where it was not an issue.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Cap, you're recognized.
Is there a motion on the
We have a motion on the bill as amended.
floor? But I'm sorry, is there a deferral motion?
We do not have a deferral motion at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Vo, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Chair. I was just going to follow up and ask if someone from legal could let us know based on like what we have on the floor, if someone, a parcel owner could sue for losing 10 feet, or if someone could just answer that for us.
I'll go first to Council, or to Special Counsel Darby.
If I understand your question correctly, if someone has already has a permit or is in the process of, about to build something on their property, no, this should not affect them. But if they don't already have that and if the height restriction affects them in the future, then they would be limited. And I don't think that they would have the right to sue because the council has the right to make amendments to the zoning code.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. I'll go back to Councilmember Benedict. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for the delay there. I'm supportive of this amendment. I think this is really important of this bill as amended. This is really important for areas like District 7 where we've had a lot of housing built with 3 stories and with rooftops, and they're overlooking single-story homes, and it's, an urban footprint. Some of those are 50 feet wide lots, and so you've got 2 tall skinnies, 3 stories tall with a rooftop next to a single-story house from 1950. This is a good, putting this height limit in District 7 in particular, but I think it throughout many places in this county, with the exception of downtown. I think that this is something that's going to make it much more palatable for us to build cottage courts. When I look around the district and I see a 12-unit apartment, an 18-unit apartment building that was built maybe in 1970 or 1960s, and how well it fits in at 2 stories with all the single-story homes all around it. That's the type of development that I hope we're going to see as the result of the bills that are being passed through as the result of the H&I study. And this bill aligns with that. And so that's one of among many other reasons that I'm very supportive of this bill. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any further discussion on the bill as amended? Thank you. I would just add myself to Councilmember Welch's point. I think I agree somewhat with your point that, we shouldn't be telling people what height they should do with their own property. At the same time, I think there are benefits to contextual development. I think, as Councilmember Gamble pointed out, we keep building larger and larger homes for smaller and smaller families. So we're building McMansions for continually smaller families. Hopefully this can rein in some of the McMansions we have in our city and build housing more appropriate to our typical household size. So I will also be voting in favor of this bill tonight. Absent any further discussion, I guess we'll go to the vote. All in favor of the bill as amended? Any opposed? Any not voting? 10. Recommend approval of the bill as amended. 10 in favor, 0 against. Any not voting? I didn't ask. No, not voting. And that was it. Meeting Planning and Zoning is adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.